What up, world? It's your boy Mark Walder Ward, Super Fat Show, Super Fast Network. This time we got G Money, aka the Rap A Lot historian, who has an excellent Instagram account detailing the history of Rap A Lot music, Rap A Lot records. It's at Rap A Lot History, RAPALOTHISTORY, and the upcoming podcast about the same subject coming out. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, man. How about you? Blessed.
I can't complain. Much like yourself, I've been a long time fan of Rap A Lot Records. In the DC area, I said this shit before on the show, but in the source, they used to publish this map that showed where records were being bought, and like anytime a Rap A Lot release came out, the hot spot would always be Texas, like Oklahoma and shit like that. But DC would always be like the exact same color as Texas. Point being, we fuck with Rap A Lot hard. I remember I seen Scarface rocking out a Go Go. But like I'm not as deep as you, but I'm hip to Odd Squad, Big Mello, Mr. 3-2, Fifth Ward Boys. So we should be able to talk good. How'd you get started doing this?
It all started me being a big time hip hop fan. Back in the MySpace days, I was an intern for Rap A Lot actually. I was helping out with the Southern Empire label, which was um, the initial label of Jay and Jazz Prince. Excuse the background noise.
That's all good.
Yeah, so it goes pretty far back actually to the MySpace days when Rap A Lot actually joined MySpace. Jay and Jazz Prince, who run Young Empire and Mob Ties, and as you know, Jazz is the one that discovered Drake, and Jay Jr. is the one that got the internet buzzing with Finesse Two Times. They had a label called Southern Empire, and I hit the label up, say, "Hey, can I come and help out with the digital stuff? Isn't it? I'll do it for free. Consider an internship, resume, or whatever." Because I had been a fan of Rap A Lot for a really long time.
Got you.
And, that went on for a couple of years. Eventually, MySpace cooled off, and the Rap A Lot presence, as far as the label goes, wasn't really on social media as much. Um, then I started getting into just blogging and stuff about hip hop and things like that, and all my hobbies. And if you notice online, there's a lot of pages dedicated to other labels from other genres. I'll give you an example: Death Row. There's like hundreds and hundreds of fan pages, but there isn't one for Rap A Lot. And I figured, hey, this is maybe a void we can fill and get people talking about Rap A Lot again. So that was the gist of it.
Got you. Before we get into it about Rap A Lot, when you were working at those labels, was there any notable artists signed to those labels?
Yeah, so this started around 2007. Like this was a few months before Pimp C tragically passed away. But I was there when Pimp was there, Bun, Zero, Trey, UTP. So yeah, it was still, it was still active, and they were still actively releasing stuff, Devin and all that stuff. But let me just make it clear that this was remote, and I was just doing whatever I was told. And I'm still friends with those people to this day, so it's all good.
Yeah, I see you have the page is relatively new, but so you don't have your followers up to where it's going to be. But I see that you got a number of like historians, Rap A Lot artists. I see they interact with you. So you're gonna start a podcast, and your first episode is gonna have Papa LQ talking about his time at Rap A Lot.
So it's actually a book we're doing.
Oh, okay,
We have considered a podcast. We're basically just throwing shit up against the wall and see what sticks.
got you, got you.
But yeah, as far as the page goes, I have a lot of ex artists following me, a bunch of executives that used to work there. The Prince family definitely knows about the page. I've even spoken to one of his oldest kids about it. So, they're cool with it. But yeah, there's projects, here and there coming that, we're just going to try it and see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a book about Papa LQ's time at Rap A Lot and his first album and the background around it.
Got you. Now he's definitely somebody that I consider underrated. And Rap A Lot's got a lot of them. I mean, the Odd Squad project. I'm sure Yuck is properly rated, but I don't know if people know how classic, like how some of his albums is five mic classics. I mean, it's so many Fifth Ward Boys, all the Willie D albums. Who would you consider to be some of the underrated artists or maybe projects that you wish the world was more in tune with?
The entire Rap-A-Lot West roster, Seagram, the Menace Clan, Pop
Yes.
LQ, CJ Mack, Yuck.
Hey,
Um, the,
not to interrupt. Well, I guess I'm interrupting. My apologies. But out of curiosity, do you have that Menace Clan CD?
I don't.
You
I
know
used to have,
that. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I used to have a bunch of Rap-A-Lot CDs, and then moving, from place to place, I misplaced them somehow, or maybe they were stolen. But like
Oh
a
no,
lot of my stuff is gone,
man.
and
You
that
you know
stuff
off the
is
no
really
bullshit.
valuable.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Off the no bullshit, I got like this huge CD collection, right? And
Uh,
outside of I forgot. I think it's Bishop Don Juan. I don't know. Or it was Pimp and Ken. Outside of a Pimp and Ken CD I bought because they had a Pimp C guest appearance. The most money I ever paid for a CD was that Menace Plan CD. And I think I got it for like 125 off Amazon in like 2012.
and you actually paid a lot less than what you might see prices for now.
Word, man. I don't know if they made a vinyl or not, but I know if you had that, you could probably get a stack for it easy.
If it's a first run print, absolutely.
But my fault. I interrupted you. Let me add Dirty to that list of underrated people. But you were talking about more of the underrated acts.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, man, if we're gonna let's keep it a buck. Anyone that wasn't Scarface or the Ghetto Boys was really underrated, and Scarface and the Ghetto Boys themselves, I consider to be underrated as well.
Word. I definitely think Scarface is the best rapper ever. Like he's not. Cameron's probably my favorite. I don't know. It's hard. Like I like what Devin offers a lot too because it's been times in my life like Devin was one of the few people I could relate to musically. But the thing about Rap a Lot. I don't know how old you are, but I was buying tapes and CDs in the '90s, right? And we had
Mhm.
like a limited selection. And oftentimes, after like the main shit, if you bought a CD or a tape, it pretty much be on faith unless you lived somewhere that had mixtapes. And since I was in DC, we didn't have mixtapes; we had go-go tapes. So like Rap a Lot used to be something that even if I had never heard of the artist, I knew that it was worth paying for. And I think I was very rarely, if ever, disappointed by Rap a Lot CDs. But I know I bought the Face Mob CD off Faith without ever hearing a song off of it. Man, so many of them to be honest with you. Fifth Ward Boys. I mean, but I bought UTP without hearing none of the songs off of it. By that time, I knew that they was going hard. But another thing I don't think Rap a Lot get credit for is when artists who've already been in the game get to rap a lot, they often make their finest work.
Absolutely. Going back to buying a CD off of Faith, you know, I used to be the type when I would go shopping for CDs. If I saw a particular label on an album, even if I didn't know who the artist was, I bought it because I knew I was getting a quality product.
Most definitely. So does your rap a lot go back to like about the Ghetto Boys before Scarface and Willie D was in it, stuff like that?
I know some of that. I know a pretty good amount of Rap a Lot, but these last couple weeks since I've launched the page, I've learned a ton more that I didn't know before. So it's been great.
Do you ever listen to any of that stuff? Like of the older stuff, what do you listen to the most? Because like I know about it, I've heard it before, and then even like the first couple Ghetto Boys albums with Scarface, the main lineup. I don't listen to them as much as, or even the early Scarface albums. Like I started tuning in more like around The World Is Yours, like around like '90 to '92 is when the Rap a Lot sound really started appealing to me.
Yeah, same with me. I'm giving the '80s, the late '80s stuff a little more love, but around the same time, the Big Mellow Bonehard album, Mr. Scarface is back. Around that time period between '90 and '92, because I feel like that was one of their best periods. Because I kind of like dark hip hop,
Yeah.
and I feel like those years were their darkest.
What Gangsta Nip? That was a Rap a Lot release, right?
Yeah, yeah. And his first album, I think, was in '92.
Did you like that? What did you think of that
Oh,
horrorcore stuff?
I love how he did it.
How he
You
did it.
know,
So is there other horrorcore that you don't like as much?
so I'm not a huge horrorcore fan. I mean, I like some stuff by Isham, the Grave Diggers and acts like that.
Right.
But if I have to pick like the one horrorcore artist that I am a big fan of, and actually a good friend of, would be Nip.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of underrated, like that man basically started a genre.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't know this, but his he had one of the better selling Rap a Lot albums, and he was one of the antithesis of an artist selling with like no promotion, just based off of word of mouth, and it just spread like wildfire. That's why he was able to put 3 or 4 albums out on the label just off word of mouth.
Word. So you was talking about the Rap a Lot West. Let me ask you this: if you took let's say a 16 track project, right, and you did a greatest of Rap a Lot Chicago, or let's just say Rap a Lot Midwest, in case there's somebody I'm not thinking of, and then you did one that was Rap a Lot West, what do you think would be better?
Oh, that'd be a tough one, because it's two completely different sounds, but equal quality. Yeah, that would be tough because both sides. The Rap a Lot West side is not as commercially friendly except for a couple of tracks.
Right.
But then you got the Rap a Lot Midwest side, where you got the commercially friendly stuff like Do or Die and the Snipers, who can also, be equally as gangster. And then you got people like DMG, 350, a G to a Key. So, thinking
Oh
about
yeah, I
it.
forgot about G to a Key. Yep, that's a strong pull. I knew I was forgetting one that wasn't in Chicago.
Yeah, so if we're looking for versatility, I'd have to say the Midwest one would probably be a better project. But if we're looking for some straight up hardcore gangster stuff, it would have to be Rap a Lot West.
Word.
So it's kind of like a scale that keeps balancing it out.
Do you think that Rap a Lot artists were somewhat done a disservice by their lack of national videos? Like for instance, I always felt like if Devin had, I don't know the name of it, but the Airplane song, or it'd be like, right now I feel so good that you know what I'm talking about? I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
I know I've like zero fucking rhythm, but I always felt like if there'd been a video to that, that shit would have like blew the fuck up in like dorm rooms and shit. Like white people would have loved that shit. And
Yeah,
I just felt
so
like there's lots of artists that would have been bigger if they had more videos. Like people didn't know about it, but when you played it for them, they'd love it, you know?
yeah. So definitely they do have a lot of timeless classics that would have been big hits had they had, a little more promo, music videos and stuff. I mean, Devin, since you bring Devin up, his album Just Trying to Live, you know, this is coming off the strength of Dre being featured on what, 2 Dre records,
Yep.
doing music with Snoop, Jay, and then his album had production by Dre himself. You had Nas on there, Exhibit. That album, should have been much bigger than it was, in my opinion. But we have to remember that up until they kind of went, on their hiatus, their formula always worked. They never needed to promote that much because the label built its brand up so strongly in the streets that even if it just appeared on a shelf out of nowhere or got one music video and a couple of ads, it was going to sell a lot of units either way. And
Right.
that's how Jay always operated his label. And if it works, wife, if it's not broken, wife, try to fix it.
Well, with that being said, I mean, I guess I'm not gonna say they're defunct, but why do you think like Rap a Lot slowed down so severely? The
So
boxing.
Jay, yeah. So Jay's doing his whole boxing thing, the loyalty wines, his book tour, and based on how the whole industry has gone from physical to digital, like almost completely digital. He said that his love for music just wasn't there anymore, especially the fact that it's not monetized the same way. I mean, for
Right.
some people, it's made them more money. Some people they've broken even. Some people have lost money. It's really how you perceive it, but that's basically the gist of it. And then this page, based on the other interviews I've done with other people, like on the Oddcast podcast, which is hosted by Mr. Slim of the Fifth Ward Juveniles.
Okay.
He thinks that continuing a page like mine is going to speak it into existence to have Jade give music another chance and maybe even doing a reunion tour. I mean, we'll see.
Man, that'd be vicious if you said that. before we finish and we get into your page, since you brought up Fifth Ward juveniles, I was gonna ask you about them. But there's a couple times that I was incarcerated and I didn't have access to any rap a lot shit, so I missed some shit. And I knew about the what were they called, the little ghetto boys or the young ghetto boys?
Um, there was the Too Much Trouble.
Right.
I think it was the Mini Ghetto Boys or something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Too much trouble had Tulo, right?
No, Tulo was a solo artist.
Okay. Okay.
Too
But that,
Much
but
Trouble was the group that had Drunk D, Bar None, the White Midget, and a
yeah,
couple guys. Yeah,
yeah, I
the
remember
Baby
that.
Ghetto Boys. The Baby Ghetto Boys.
Yeah, there you go. But that being said, I never heard of Fifth Ward Juveniles. Is that something that's worth checking out? How would
Oh,
you describe that
absolutely.
project?
So, around that time, when they signed to Rap a Lot was when Tulo was hot, and they made their first appearance on his album. Basically, the Fifth Ward Juveniles were a group to represent the youth of the Fifth Ward, because the Fifth Ward Boys was for adults.
Right.
So they were basically the kid version of the Fifth Ward Boys. And they're still equally as gangster. They were teenagers. Definitely a project to check out.
So it wasn't like no crisscross shit or nothing.
Oh no, they went hard. Oh yeah,
I get.
oh yeah.
All right. So man, your page is just full of just straight gems. I, before we get into that though, real quick, do you remember the name of the twins? The girl twins?
Yeah,
I
the
think they
ghetto.
had some ghetto twins. There we go. Do you have any I don't know, I guess nuggets about them? I always felt that they should have got a little more shine, and I got at least two of their CDs, and one of them go hard as a motherfucker.
Yeah, absolutely. So they did do, I think, 3 albums with Rap a Lot. I know that there's an unreleased music video to the song "Gotta Get Money." You
Okay.
can see like a snippet of it on the Rap a Lot's 25th anniversary. That's one of the main things I want to see, and I've even hit them up to see if they can send me, you know, a download of it, and I won't share it unless I have permission. But they were definitely doing their thing, man. Of course, they, like you said, they should have gotten a bigger shot nationally. If they're huge locally, they still, they're still doing their things.
You know,
TT,
they might have made. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but they might have made the greatest female story song I ever heard. You know, like storytelling, like they was on some like Slick Rick Ghostface level. But you were about to say about TT?
yeah, they've all gotten married. They still do tours and stuff around the South. One of them, I believe, went on to become a hairstylist. They're still active. They're pretty popular on TikTok. So,
Okay.
life after Rap a Lot has been good with them. But yeah, they definitely should have gotten a bigger shot. Responsibility is my favorite song of theirs of all
That's the
time.
job. That's trying to think of responsibility. The story song. Yep.
Yep. And how gritty they were, like they weren't like the modern female rappers where, they have the sexy voices and lyrics. No, these girls were gritty.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So, like again, I said on the intro, but everybody, if y'all still with us, make sure y'all go follow him at Rap a Lot History, RAPALOTHISTORY. And like I said, man, your page just got so many just outstanding little nuggets. I used to have a blog called Drank and Dank, and I did an interview with Yuckmouth, and I asked him about Tyron Turner's time on Rap a Lot. Anybody can look that up. That's a Drank and Dank Yuckmouth interview. But I never knew that there was a cover and there was a movie gonna be made. Do you got any more information about my man Kane when he was on Rap a Lot?
Absolutely. So, I just found some information out about that a lot of the artists were displeasured about him being there because they felt like he wasn't authentic. And that's one of the reasons that his album didn't come out, because he was, they were basing his career off what he did with Menace to Society. Like it
Right.
was literally the character Kane becoming a rapper. And, this is the same sentiment that I have that a lot of the ex artists have. It felt, manufactured, inauthentic. The rapping was too sharp, too good to the point where it sounded phony. And,
Gotcha.
it just wasn't going to work out. The movie Consequences, I think it's what it's called, was supposed to be him and Scarface. And then there was supposed to be another movie with Scarface. I can't remember the name of it.
Payback
I'll look.
is what's on your page.
Yeah, there's one there's the Payback. I think is the one with Tyron Turner and him. So I may have got that mixed up. But I think there was a movie they were trying to do called Consequences as well.
Damn, I wish it would have came out. They're like,
Yeah,
I mean, you might got more information, so I don't know, but I thought his verse on the Ghetto Boys album was pretty good.
yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I liked it, but I guess the reception to it wasn't that great.
Did he write it himself, to your knowledge?
No, they wrote for him.
Okay. Well, yeah, I could see that. I wouldn't want to write for some actor's movie role either, you know?
No, and here's another thing that a lot of people don't know. He likes rap and hip hop, but he's more of an R&B soul fan, and he sings himself. So
Gotcha.
that's another thing. If the love isn't all the way there and organic, it's just not going to work out.
Gotcha. So, do you know any more information about the I'm sorry, let me find the Two Face album, the Scarface Tupac album?
Yeah, so that was doomed from the start. What I do know is that the verses that they were going to use as far as Tupac goes were a lot of them were the ones that appeared on Pac's Life, which was his like final posthumous project,
The Brown one,
and
yep.
the one that was produced like almost all by Eminem. What was the name of that one?
Uh, the Rose That Grew or some shit.
No. It was the one right before
Oh,
Pac's.
Resurrection. What wasn't it the soundtrack
No,
to
it was
that movie?
Loyal to the Game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was Loyal to
I
the
didn't
Game.
like that much.
Yeah, it was so so.
All
I
them
wasn't the
after
biggest
he
fan.
died, beats got too jazzy. Like I was like, man, this shit sound like shit that be on Pac's first album. Like if he was on some of the conscious shit, maybe them beats would have been good, and some of them were. But a lot of them shits didn't like the beat didn't match what he was talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta agree. It wasn't that Pac sound. I mean, in my personal opinion, the best posthumous Tupac album besides Machiavelli was Better Days. I'm a big fan of that album because it was a slightly different sound, but it fit Pac perfectly.
Yeah, nah, Better Days was definitely good.
Yeah. So a lot of those verses were supposed to be for Two Face, but it was doomed from the start. Based on what I know, there was monies exchanged, and then money didn't get paid back, work didn't get done, cease and desists. It was snake bitten the moment that they announced it.
Did how much work did Scarface put it on? Do you know?
I don't think he did anything.
Got you. Man, that shit
You
was
know,
in that shit had release dates in magazines and stuff, or not release dates, but like coming soon or whatever.
absolutely, and I was looking forward to that. That was going to be a joint venture between Death Row, Rap a Lot, and then Amaru. Um, Reggie Wright, who was interviewed like every day about Death Row on YouTube, touched on that a little bit. But there's still a lot more that I don't know, and a lot of legalities. But that was just the base of it.
Man,
Money.
Reggie Wright like the motherfucking West Coast Forest or the Death Row Forest Gump or something. Like he was privy to like every parcel of information that must have happened up in Death Row.
Absolutely. I mean, if I got the chance, and I know Reggie, I've spoken to him before on Instagram. Um, if I ever get the chance to sit down and talk with him just about Two Face, I'm going to try to get every single piece of information I can that can be shared about that because people were wondering about that.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine how incredible that would have been, especially maybe if you had Mike Dean involved in it instead of Eminem or whoever.
Absolutely, you would have had people like Mike Dean, Mr. Lee, all the Rap a Lot people, and then you'd have on the Death Row side, you'd have people like Darren Vegas, Cold 187, Big Hutch, Her and Bad. So it would have been sonically, lyrically, everything incredible. That album would have probably went platinum week 1, week 2.
While we're talking about Tupac, do you like the Outlaws releases on Rap a Lot? Because the reason I asked you, when I first joined Twitter, one of the first people I followed was one of the Outlaws, and I told him how much I liked one of the Rap a Lot projects, and he responded with they hated it.
So it wasn't. This is the thing about the Outlaws. Like the story is a little convoluted because one outlaw will say, "Yeah, we officially signed," and then another outlaw will say, "No, we never officially signed." So that part's a little bit confusing. And the thing about it is, a lot of artists, when they say they're going to sign, pretty much with any label, they start recording new music and submitting it even before the contract and the advance check is cut.
Right.
I didn't hate it. I don't think a lot of the project was single worthy, something to have a hit. But, if you're a diehard Outlaws fan and, you enjoy some hardcore lyrics and stuff, it's a good project. I mean, it's not a bad project, but of course, it's not their best stuff. And the same thing could be said about the Big Psych and Fatal album.
Yeah, I mean, as far as not their best stuff, I mean, I still think it's good. Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
all the ones we're talking about, I've definitely listened to at least 5 times, which is like my barometer of if it's worth keeping, or I guess
yeah,
these days adding it to a playlist.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not something that, hey, play that new Outlaws joint at the nightclub from the album, Never Surrender. But, for the hip hop head or someone that's going to take a long drive, need something to listen to that's insightful, that's definitely a good project.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of good projects, I think by far the most underrated, maybe Southern classic. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Straight up Five Mics is "Dirty the Pimp and the Gangster." Why do you think "Dirty" didn't blow up more?
Yeah, that's a good question because, I was talking to Burn One and I told him, like, you guys are like literally the as good as UGK in my opinion, as far as the country rap style goes.
Yeah, I mean
And their
that's high
music is,
praise, but we'll roll with it.
yeah, they have, they're very, UGK, they rarely switched up their sounds. They weren't as experimental, but it worked, and their popularity just continues growing with time. Dirty, they switched up sounds. Like, you can check some of the posts, or even just go listen to their albums. They have something pretty much for everyone. And the same thing happened when they were signed to Universal Records. They had critical acclaim, but it just didn't translate to commercial success for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that could be something as unknown as like they pissed off the radio person or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, and then they were also in the Malibu Most Wanted soundtrack. If anybody's seen that movie, it's a comedy with Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, I think it's one of the funniest fucking movies ever. I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah,
Homeboy's name, but like he got my vote. I'm gonna vote for him. Terry Crews, all yeah, man. Malibu's Most Wanted is some super underrated shit. That's some razor sharp societal commentary right there.
absolutely. So, you know, I don't know. I wish they would have been much bigger. They're very, very nice people personally. Great music. They've never made a bad album, but at least they got their fan base to fall back on.
Oh yeah, yeah, loyal fans too. I've actually been to a Dirty show. But another one I'm interested in. I see you got a picture of the Face Mob album up. Do you have any insight as to how they came together? At the time, I didn't think nothing of it, but knowing what I know now, like you got Devin, it's DMG's in it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and these were like people that went on to be. I mean, in my opinion, DMG is a big time solo artist, but it just seemed looking back kind of odd that they came under a Face Mob group, like they had like a Willie D mob or some shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So DMG actually told Scarface, because Scarface was looking to do something. Because if you check the timeline, he dropped an album, at minimum once every 2 to 3 years, whether it be his solo stuff, the Ghetto Boys, or something he executive produced. And he was looking for ideas, and DMG told him, "Yo, you need to do a group." And Scarface was like, "A group? Well, what the fuck? What am I gonna name a group?" And I'm just paraphrasing, of course. But DMG was like, "Face Mob. You need a face mob." And I guess Scarface fell in love with it. And the first face mob was supposed to be exclusive Houston artists. Of course, they hadn't picked them, but then they were like, nah, let's get people from all over. And that's how 350 came in the picture. DMG, Face himself, Devin, KB,
KB, yeah.
Smith D, and all them.
Did KB ever have a solo album?
No, not on Rap a Lot.
Got you.
And
I definitely liked him. I forgot about him.
I think KB went on to sign. I think he was going to sign with Shady Records actually, but he ended up
Whoa.
probably signing with Bizarre or something. I know him and Bizarre are really cool. So
All
it
right.
was some about that. Like he said somewhere that he had a situation with someone affiliated, as far as I can remember.
Got you. And then we'll finish save the best for last. I see you got Seagram on here. I'm a huge Seagram fan. I knew about Seagram shit. I don't know, probably like 1989, 1990. What would you say to someone that you were trying to convince to listen to Seagram, or just to tell them about him?
You know what? I would just start playing one of his songs. I'd play East Side. I'd play Birth.
Sleeping in these
I'd
nights.
play, yep, Sleeping in My Nikes. I'd play one of those three songs, or I'd even play the one he did with Nip, Willie D. Well, actually, this was on Nip's album, the one he was featured on. I can't remember the name of the song, and I was just listening to it today. But I'd play any one of those four songs, and or play them until I got a reaction.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. The music does speak for itself. How big do you think Seagram would have got if he hadn't passed away? Unfortunately, you think he would have got like Ice T level big?
Probably big as Ice T or bigger. I have heard from more than one person, including his family, that him and Tupac were supposed to do stuff together.
Damn, I ain't know that. Shit, that would have been
Yeah,
insane.
like some of them have said that he was like a feature would have absolutely been inevitable. But I've also heard that they were going to do a project together, or Pac was going to try to sign him to Machiavelli Records. I've heard a bunch of different things, but they definitely were going to do something together, and I think he would have been really, really big.
Dope. I totally agree. I wish that shit hadn't happened. Well, look,
Absolutely.
man.
And he's got a movie and a slash documentary coming out soon.
Yeah, that's what's on your page, right? Basically an advertisement for it. Yeah, if that comes out, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Yeah, I feel like at least like two acts on Rap a Lot, if not more, need biopics.
Oh, 100% agree.
Like high
Oh,
quality shits too, not like that Motley Crue Netflix shit.
that wasn't that good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
ain't gonna front. Ain't like I watched it from beginning to end, but after like I don't know, like when they be showing what them rock bands was doing, they be on some trifling nasty shit.
yeah,
And I'd rather like not. I'd rather still like them a little bit instead of being like, oh, that motherfucker nasty. I mean, they was all on drugs and shit, but still.
yeah. Sometimes our heroes do questionable stuff when we see them behind the scenes. Unfortunately, I mean, if they were to do something like that, I'd hope it's as good as the Wu Tang stuff they did on Hulu.
Yeah. Oh
Because
yeah,
it's
that'd be
definitely
vicious if they just had a whole Rap a Lot show. That shit could go on for like 10 seasons.
absolutely, it would be, as long as it was as intriguing. And if they did something like that, I got to be a part of that somehow, even if it's consulting or something. I said, nah, I gotta be there. Make sure y'all got the timelines right. Make sure y'all got the information right. I mean, I know biopic stuff is not 100% accurate. Some things are removed, some things are added, but we
Right.
need like little of that as possible if there was ever a Rap a Lot TV show.
Well, if they announce one, we'll spam the fuck out the showrunner to give you a slot. We'll start the campaign.
Absolutely, man. You too, man. Since you know your Rap a Lot stuff too, and then my homie Fresh, him too, man. There's it's surprising it took this long for a page to go up. It's definitely been fun. Um, and hopefully it'll motivate the higher ups to start putting some stuff back out.
I hope so, and thank you so much for joining the show today. I really appreciate your time and your knowledge. And to be real with you, I'd love to do this again because I feel like we just scratched the surface a little bit.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Anytime. I appreciate you having me on, man. I gotta, jump back on your show with LQ, man, before the book comes out, so I can, tell y'all a little bit about it when we have a release date and all that good stuff.
Oh, definitely. I would love that. All right. Well, thank you for your time, everybody. Make sure you go follow at Rap a Lot History on Instagram and get all this good Southern rap history, Midwest, West Coast rap history, Rap a Lot rap history.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Mob is in the building. Rap a
All right,
lot for
man.
life. Appreciate you having me on, brother.
No doubt. You take it light.
Peace.